Welcome back there, friends. A quick map number one here in our second series of Valorant Game Changers North America. YFPX coming out hot, which is, I think, what they would want to see, especially if you're a fan of them. Whereas, on the other side, for Kasoka Band, hey, not a bad start. We kind of left the first half of the game saying the scoreboard maybe doesn't tell the story as much as the round results kind of started to break down a little bit. But at the end of it, as we get to the second half, then it's just YFP, go, 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 no stops, 13-5.
Yeah, it was tough, I think, for the side of Kasoku Band to really even get started on that second half, considering even though it was that 8-4, two of those rounds, it was because Kasoku Band managed to get that pistol round and then the anti-eco afterwards. And once the guns came out, they were really able to only bring out those two rounds in the middle of a sea of YFP rounds out, who I think had really great macro control. I think the calling coming out from Corrupt was really nice to see as well. Just layers on layers, I think, to the game plan that they had for a lot of those set plays and traps, and Kasoku Band having to dig a little bit deeper.
Indeed the case. Here's a look back at how the individuals had performed. And for YFP, I mean, just pick a player as potential MVP. Melia gets credit for it at the end, 17-9, but Corrupt was everywhere. A couple of mind-boggling moments. You also had a couple of heroic plays come through in clutch form. I mean, everyone played well. What do you want me to say, Ash? Everyone played well for YFP. Other side of things, a couple of the first bloods for Core that opened the door, but it's not quite able to get any of these rounds like through the finish line. That was the big story, especially in the first half.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely difficult when they're dealing with how well YFP had that map control. We're controlling the map, and I think looking at that first half and considering the fact that they had Melia just being an insane anchor, so consistent with changing up those Cypher trip setups as well to catch KB off guard. You know, Corrupt and Edith, for the most part, looking to push the opposite lane to either force KB into those trap plays or even just catch them out on some of those rotations, and changing the tempo on those two shifts. They weren't always going for that aggression. They would often like set Edith up in a really forward position, take a beat, let them, you know, occupy that space in case the rotation comes in, and makes the read easier for the remainder of the map.
Large map manipulation executed pretty much flawlessly in a lot of ways for YFP, and kind of taking that same moniker of like showing force backing off or quick hitting something and trying to catch the opponent off guard. Pearl sets up for similar ideas, and for YFP, you know, considering this is not your map pick, you're happy to see it. You're 4-0 on it in the calendar year, including using it in the qualifier to get through, but they only played once and it was a 13-2 in the early stages. Whereas on the other side, you know, you look at KB. This is another map that I think was a very successful part of their recipe of getting qualified in the first place. They were clean on it. A couple of good wins in that qualifier, but this is a different level of opponent here. So there's going to be a question of, is your setup good? Is your composition good? Because I'm looking at the recent results, Ash, and lean in a little bit here. Okay. They played Phoenix, and they're 13-1 win. I love that.
They both played Phoenix. I think I think it'll be fun. I think it's going to be really fun. I am curious to see if the Phoenix pick was more of like an OQ, CQ strategy, where maybe they're looking, okay, we don't really have like high expectations against the opponents that we're facing up against, so we can kind of just try and run them down with the Phoenix, try and farm up those Phoenix ults. But I also really actually like seeing the Phoenix on Pearl as well. I think that you can get a lot of value for trying to farm that Phoenix ult as often as possible over towards A main, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see them run it back. I've seen Edith definitely play the Phoenix before in some other high stakes matchups, so it'll be a really interesting head-to-head, because the only difference, if they don't look to change anything compositionally, will be with the other duelist in that double duelist composition, the Yoru versus the Jett.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember the last time I casted Phoenix in Valorant. It may have been in like a beta tournament, legitimately.
Wait, there's no way.
It actually is a way. I really don't think I've seen Phoenix as a caster in a long time, and I'm excited about the pretense of getting two. I'm here for it.
I think it's fun. I think especially if you're looking to, you know, play up against like a Vice composition where we've seen We've seen a lot of ices, I think, on Pearl within the recent meta, especially with like how strong Yoru has been and whatnot. He kind of adds that additional layer of being able to like break up that Vice setup, as far as, you know, being able to like kind of flash out. If you're farming up into that ultimate, you kind of send the Phoenix in on a whim and then just hope that the Vice maybe pops all of that utility or just like general scouting. But I think that what I have my eyes on too is just general mid control. I feel like that's what a lot of teams struggle with on Pearl, is like the ebb and flow of mid and trying to put those players on an island with those connector crunches.
Yeah, I think there's also, you know, when you talk about mid, is not even just control, but how do you want to like set up some sort of force to be dealt with? Really on both sides. Like defensively, if you show force, usually by ways of like a prowler, for instance, then you have to like slow things down on offense to make sure there's no immediate pinch. Same can be said in terms of offense, showing some pressure, keeping the defense honest, things like that. But no Phoenix, I quit. You know who else I miss? I miss Harbor. I miss Harbor bad. Wow. That guy was, I don't know. I love the aesthetic of Harbor. Just, I don't know. I think Harbor's
such a
cool.
Bad agent. Okay. All
right, dude.
Hear me out. Hold on. I'm with you with the fact that I like Harbor in theory. I think he just needs one buff, and the buff is don't slow your own team. And honestly, then, especially in the Yoru meta that we have going on right now, could go kind of crazy. But focusing back in on these comps, you were talking about the Phoenixes. We're not going to see them today. Honestly, I really do think that the Phoenix is part of the run it down and try and farm kids in close qualifiers, to be honest.
Has to be. That's how I felt like. I'm just like thinking back, like before we started to get like some triple duelist cheese. I remember when people would still bust out like Reyna, when like Reyna was awful. It was just like, oh, we're just gonna ego chow. That's what we're doing today. We're just gonna go farm kills. Oh wow, so many agents that we haven't seen in so long. Bring them back. I need to see them. But here we go. Jumping on to map number 2, KB's map selection. Trying to see if they can get us to another map 3 here today, but YFP looking really solid in map number 1. And again, they do not hate seeing Pearl show up on their screens. Obviously, there's also a big difference in terms of dynamics here as the double duelist for KB. Well, you kind of know what to expect from that, you know, in terms of how the ice is going to be utilized here on this opening offensive half.
No, that is for sure. I think not even just that, but looking over towards some of the combos that you can even throw out, the zoning for Avery there on the Tejo. And it's going to be really on Korra to try and close that gap by themselves, because Harry won't be able to follow up nearly as quickly as a Yoru would, and really trying to take advantage of that space that the Tejo is able to create.
Stealth drone just clearing out over towards B-Link. It allows a cross over towards Vents. I mean, there is a trap wire here. Imagine if you see this, you're saying like, whoa, what? They're prepared for this? Or are they? Because here comes the rewrap back over. Star is in play as they try to keep the defense stable. There's also a spy cam as the first, vehicle towards trying to stall this out. Misu holding from backside of the site. Haunt does get destroyed. Prowler to follow. Just sent out to see again how much of this hit is actually here. And look at the long flank. Problem is there's a shear in the way. You've got to deal with that.
Yeah, 3 players, they can count down to get all over at the same time, surely, right?
Or...
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
Hello? Wait, we're not clearing out dugout? Seriously?
1 enemy remaining.
Well, doesn't matter how slow the flank is. If you're winning 2v5 on the site, all that really matters. I cannot believe with a 5-man hit, no one even looks over towards dugout.
No, everyone was really just locked in on Melia on the other side. And, you know, to be fair, has been a raid boss on the defense over on Haven.
True.
But, man, still able to repeat same results there, Shift, with how well she's been playing and how consistently she can just anchor on these sites.
Yeah. Oof. I don't know. That's just one of those moments, though, that you kind of sit there and scratch your head, because the utility that was being thrown that direction looked like it was enough to kind of clear out the close corners, but you're right. It's just Melia was taking so much of the focus away. So it'll be a couple of sheriff upgrades here for KB into the anti-eco. How about the Odin round 2? Talk about just the good old-fashioned muscle, bringing it early.
I hate that.
I So shield's broken, carry dealt with, Bucky up close and personal. Boom! That is one terrifying fish. 2 for Scary Shark, and that's a 2-0 start for YFP.
Here for the Bucky gameplay, not here for the Odin gameplay. I am an Odin hater, but it's all good. It is all good. No Dandrya to back me up on that one. I can't fault Melia for it though. Can't fault Melia for it whatsoever. I think that, especially when you're looking at facing up against those ISOs, the stray bullets, just be able to like tear down that shield right off the gate, and it'd be super powerful.
It's also just a flex. Now you got it for your bonus. YFP able to win the most recent bonus in map number 1, the second half. Need a shot over the top, not going to land. Salvo pushes him off the pillar. But still the defense feeling pretty stable and secure with the trap wires deep in towards the B site and a Prowler just to make sure there's no quick wrap over towards a connector.
There.
Yeah, not slowing things down just for a beat. See the pings going out. YFP aware of their weaknesses over towards mid. It's very deep connector play here. Understanding that they're happy to give up this space, they'll just play sites and ensure that they can play the crossfires on the choke instead. I like this A main control here for YFP.
Yeah, I mean the only vulnerability they have is through mid, and you can see the gate crash is ready to go over towards Secret just in case YFP feel like they are going to get caught. But there's no trap wire here at the vent. And you've got Misu actually kind of watching for this. Stars consuming most of the A choke points. No hit through the sewer at the moment. Rotation on the way. Gate crash is already expended, so it's going to be a long run here for Corrupt in this post-plant retake.
Scary Shark still has the same main control. They are aware of it.
Last player standing.
Yep. And the battle over through flowers really dictates the outcome here of this round. And Corrupt made us do a little bit of weapon shopping. See if he can maybe find that Odin and just pull it back.
Yeah,
nope, it's going to have a Vandal. Still a chance for this. And no, not going to happen. Bizarre through the smoke, able to find the elimination. And KB only dropped 2 here and a chance to start getting things going.
Nice response. I think, you know, map control wise, the idea was there for YFP, but a lot of heroics coming out from KB to actually be able to convert some of those fights and really use their gun advantage for themselves. But now you've got Edith with the operator online. This is a player where once they get posted up, it is darn hard to honestly get them off a lot of those angles, and you expect a lot of value to come through. That's why you see the adjustment in the setups here as well. And maybe an opportunity to even do some baiting for Corrupt, playing over towards Pillar, but KB actually nowhere in sight over towards B. Instead, it'll be this deep A setup here to allow Melia to maintain control of Dugout and play for that backside trip too.
And you saw the finagling of the trap wires. They are in some weird spots with stars and the potential of things like haunts and seizes to come through for Misu. This is not where you want to be if you're KB. Even more so that Edith catches carry of all players on a peak with the op. Shield not popped, and that's a free first blood. And if you're KB, I just don't know where you go here.
The flash goes out there as well, and just really don't have too much control of the rest of the map. 2 players in mid are going to look for a pick here over towards B-Link.
Scary Shark does get tagged. Edith still watching on this cross, and the defense will rotate over. Spike's not here, so I mean, if you're looking at this from the perspective of Panda and Bizarre, you've got to hold some very forward ground. Spike will make its way over, but these nebulas may fade. Yeah, I said before they can even cross, so another star gets placed to make sure that ststays choked. Dimensional drift down the way. Cora seeing if maybe they can find it in the animation. Not the case. So now it's just down to pings from Corrupt. Nelia, the first one to peek, though, drops. And now Corrupt has to try to play for timing off the flash, finds one before falling. Scary Shark following up. 3v2 situation, but the salvo looks good. Just down to Misu, who lines him up on the connector at B. And that'll be enough for a 3rd round for YFP.
scrappy post plant, but honestly, nice fights from both sides, realistically. You see a lot of value even coming out from Avery's utility, those salvos, finding a pick for themselves and trying to buy enough time, but heroics on the side of YFP to take them over the line here. And now for Kasoku Band. Economy, it's consistently been in one of those awkward positions, I feel like, the last couple of rounds. You do see that, you know, they still will opt to look to force up. It will be Panday stuck on a stinger this time around.
I am with you.
Having to play it a little bit further back, maybe look for some of that cleanup for the rest of the team. Again, consistent adjustments with the Cypher setup. And Melia is just always keeping them guessing when it comes to those trips.
I love it. Stealth drone out, quick hit, just trying to do this the old-fashioned way if you're KB. Show force on. K gonna fade away. YFP allowing a little bit of space to be taken, but the judge gets to work, just plug it away. And Misu will find first blood, and KB are still stuck. They still can't get into the site for a plant. More utility being sought after here for YFP, and yeah, the Nightfall's right here to follow up. This is not gonna feel good if you're KB. You're stuck on site.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Like, absolutely stuck on site here. No way to get out either, with the fact that Edith has already taken up space on the flank.
Oh, and their, well, rotation back over towards Art is decent. Scary Shortcut with the punish. One more on the site itself, but this rewrap back over to B may allow for a plant. The problem's going to be the numbers. Still a 4v2, and look at Melia.
Racing.
Just getting the free call. May have to still wait and play for post-plant retake, but 4v2, I think YFP will take their odds.
Playing it patiently there as well, not even looking to even try and stall that plant, just knowing that they've got that numbers advantage and not looking to take a single risk. Armageddon is available into the post-plant. We've also got 4 players to deal with.
Yeah. And it starts with Cora. He's got to find one at least. You can find one and hold this position. That'd be better, but it gets caught looking the wrong way. Avery reveals their position. Salvo first. Timing may work out here if they stay alive for an Armageddon to maybe save the round, but no, tried for the peak. Melia punishes, and YFP will go up 4-1.
Plenty of time on that defuse there, and a team ace for the likes of YFP into that retake. And again, I am surprised that they continue to push the issue on A when those tripwires have been such a problem factor for KB to deal with. And what I really like about that setup is you've got trips, not for the actual execution on site, but for the fact that if you're hitting A, you have to take and crunch like arc control. You have to try and push into dugout or flowers. You have to take one of those lanes. And it's just set up to deny that ability for KB to comfortably not just flood onto site, but to isolate players in those choke points as well. And it continuously catches them off.
I was about to say, Misu's doing a really nice job of cycling utility just to make sure that, like, you've got a Prowler. Oh, they're there. Here's a Haunt. Oh, they got to deal with that. Okay, here's another Prowler. All right, there's a Nightfall to finish it. Like, it's just, it's so annoying. But as we get into a limited purchase here for KB, the eliminations are stacking up for YFP. Melia also gets a read in the final 2, and yeah, the spray down will work for both. Comfortable start for YFP.
I think what's difficult too is that we're really not seeing the value coming out from the ISO, and that's not to put, you know, that's not me blaming Carrie for any of these rounds or anything like that, but realistically, you're expecting your ISO player to at least be eating, you know, that first bullet with the shield, not just eating the first bullet. Specifically being able to, you know, pop that shield, deny some of the value with that first engagement, and that's something that has been missing. I feel like we aren't always consistently seeing that shield being popped before those fights are actually looking bad.
Ooh, here we go. A little 1v1 here. Carrie and Scary Shark trying to hold. The shield gets broken, but Carrie still wins it, resets the double tap, and is still in a position to hold on with this hit. Edith dealt with. Corrupt somehow catches 2 from up top. How? I mean, why not in the open? Corrupt is just up on top of tower. No one looks that direction because Melia again says, hey, look at me. And now it's just down to Panday for a 1v2.
Nice recall, Star.
One enemy remaining.
Ugh. Pain.
Yeah, not much you can do there. And it's the follow-ups have been so good for YFP. The spacing has been great on this team when you're looking at a lot of those scrappy fights and how they play off of each other, the util that's being thrown out. You were talking about Misu and that cycling. We saw it on that B site as well, just throwing prowler after prowler to try and delay, buy Edith as much time as possible, and buy the rest of the team time to get that rotation down as well. And the answers here for KB, it does seem like that spacing has been a bit of an issue, and
Agreed.
Unfortunately, suppression and vulnerable on the team here as well.
Yeah, and I think there's also a level like Scary Shark just not choosing to take that 1v1 until after the shields have fallen. Like it just stalls out that play so much. Knives out though for Cora, already in towards the site. Doesn't get a read onto Edith, playing right on top of the site though. And now Edith has tucked themselves over in towards dugout. Good follow-up though, as Misu will drop up and over. Good knives for the first, but Bazaar says no fly zone. And now we have a 3v2 where Corrupt has to try to play with an operator for now.
Oh, look at the wrap coming in from Flowers here as well. You've got the backstab coming here from Carrie.
What? So now Carrie has to follow up, and yeah, good call on that one, Ash. It's going to be a thrifty here for KB, getting themselves a second round, but still one that felt very punishing.
Could have gone the other way as well. I don't even know how that op pick occurred. Probably just like a little bit of a spam through, expecting, you know, that plant over towards default. Don't really know who actually fell there because you blink and you miss it. But right now, Soku Band, this is a huge round for them. YFP are on the brink of running dry when it comes down to those funds, and KB have a lot of ultimates that they've cycled up into here. You've still got that Armageddon online, you've got that Cosmic Divide, and you've got to have your eyes here on that, on the Iron Garden there as well.
Yeah, this is where the comeback has to start if you're KB. Like, you need to start putting them together. Like you said, you've kind of got YFP backs against the wall economically. You're really close to setting up another 1v1 here with Carrie. Double tap out. Here comes the flood forward into B. YCam gets a pretty decent amount of information from Elia, but it does not connect to allow any sort of a follow-up through the smokes up top. So 5v5 post-plant setup.
Steel Garden still available into the post plant. Could be huge as far as delaying. Already invested the Cosmic Divide.
The Cosmic Divide doesn't do much here, though, because Corrupt has a dimensional drift to play with. And there's the Steel Garden coming through, so this is going to stall things out just touch. But again, Corrupt says, I don't need a gun to go run around and see where you're at. So here's the check. You see 3 players on the back. There's the flash, but doesn't make much of a difference. The Armageddon coming through to stall things out a little bit further. And yeah, Corrupt just runs out of time. Carrie punishing for 3. One more to grab is Melia, who is able to find one more before dropping. But a round comes through nonetheless for KB.
Much needed round for them to continuously look to close this gap. It's their best shot at trying to take this half 6-6, which is as high as they can get considering the current scoreline that we're looking at right now. And YFP forced finally onto an eco round after quite the investment from KB.
It's an expensive round though in that last one. I mean, Armageddon comes out, Cosmic Divide comes out, Steel Garden comes out. I mean, they really use everything, honestly.
Did
So
cycle
now
back
you
up
just
into the kill contract though.
Yeah, true. The kill contract is still available. That's going to be one that you use in the next one. Okay, a little bit of a double peek here. Just YFP trying to find something with team shots with the Sheriffs. They do catch one, but the numbers still look good for KB. It just comes down to, do they read this secondary line? Melia avoids the Arc Road splash. And in that moment, Scary Shark tried for some sort of a crossing feat. Same can be said for Misu, but neither will find success. And things are looking good for a convincing round here in last. Yeah, Melia, that's a good first shot, but the double tap keeps Carrie alive and gets KB within 2.
Slowly working their way up. You know, far cry from how dominant of a half this initially started out as for the side of YFP. Initially that like 6-1 lead, and now KB slowly closing that gap. You've got that kill contract you were mentioning would should be utilized into this round. For YFP, your eyes have to be on Misu as far as, you know, that potential of the Nightfall coming through. I feel like their utility has just been so consistent throughout this series so far. And maintaining the same setup with YFP swapping Melia over towards the C side.
You and me.
Well, blind kill contract for KB through mid doesn't connect. Question that decision just a touch. Prowler just to sniff things out. A little bit of a deeper star at mid as well. Also plays for YFP defensively. And in this moment of kind of vying for position at mid, Corrupt has pushed at least his decoy through A, giving an opportunity to clear up A main and again get a defender deep in towards this position.
Yeah, but Carrie heard this rotation
Yeah.
from Misu. They're aware that spawn is open right now. Playing so diligently.
YFP may miss this.
Try again.
Well, now they'll know. The thing is, they're not going to know that Bazaar is still here. Oh, but a gate crash comes through, trying to isolate onto Carrie, who's still holding strong. And wow, what an individual round here from Carrie. Everything's been 1v1s, but wait a second. Edith gets 2, Scary gets another, and now you just got isolated 1v1s potentially for the round. 4 in it for Carrie. Spike will be collected and planted at B, and it's just going to be down to Scary Shark playing through B main.
Oh, planning safely for B main here as well, aware that they don't really know where Scary Shark is going to be coming from. Steps might just be heard. I think still too far away, but I like the double up in halls.
Problem is, this is a Phantom at this range too, so one taps are going to be unlikely. So you have to push up and push up quickly. Double stack at back hall. Smoke for Scary Shark to work on, but here's the little bit of setup. Whoa! No way! We can't line up there. The last thing you could do, you've got the spike set up to look at. Oh, what a mistake from KB.
Red Bull clutch come in here for Scary Shark as well. A round that we didn't expect to go through on the side of YFP. KB had the tools for it. That collateral, something that KB are going to be kicking themselves for.
Yeah, that technical pause is someone just punched their monitor from KB. That is, oh, I'm going to sound like a disappointed uncle right now. That is just, that's an unexcusable one, legitimately. For how well KB have played, that's one of those moments you look at and say, we can't be doing that. Like, it was a weird round. And all the individual isolated moments for Carrie don't matter at the end of it. It's Scary Shark running down B main with a Phantom, and he gets a collat when the spike, or whatever, she gets a collat when the spike is sitting in a perfect spot to play a crossfire. Oh, that's so painful.
Things you got to look back on, but we got to focus in onto this round. The clone coming out. A little bit of that information drone down here for KB as well. The backup is coming to help out Corrupt in case this flood comes in.
Yeah, there's a star that you can play off of here if you're Scary Shark. You can nebulize it, or you can turn it into a gravity vortex to slow it down. It'll be a nebula. Prowler to follow up. Gate crash sent backwards for YFP to try to rotate quickly if they need to, but noise gets cut, and KB have now gone dead silent.
The setup's changed here once again. Melly back on the safe side.
Scary Shark in the corner, continues to descent, but no. One tap is too strong. Nightfall gonna come through, kill contract. I don't think that actually isolated anybody.
Spike planted.
No, Nightfall got 4 though. They can't hear this push back in.
Well, it's still messy. YFP come away 2 for 1. Neural theft now being spent. You can see the panic in the perspectives of the KB post-plant defenders. Scary, are you a hero? No, not this time. Edith shuts down. Panday. Last one left. Gravity Vortex will stop this from getting to halfway. Now the secondary challenge doesn't come through. Melia shuts down the play. It'll be an 8-4 half.
Was that important?
Repeating their success in the first half, like they did on Haven with the 8-4 here for YFP. Tough
Let's go.
on the side of KB. I think we saw, you know, the moments where they were chaining a couple of those rounds together. Now this pistol, again, imperative to try and close that gap early on for KB's side. think what gets annoying here too, Shift, is you know, they are expecting the Vice composition coming out from KB, right, with YFP.
Sure.
And the fact that you have that Yoru in play, the clone, it's just such an easy way to deal with that Vice wall early.
Yeah, so true.
Keep them on the run.
It's just... this is a frustrating one to digest. Because KB have had plenty of opportunities, plenty of rounds that could have been, if not should have been, tallied for them. And that difference in the scoreboard, if they lose this pistol, is going to be, again, one of those that we saw in map 1. Just maybe too much to overcome. So you've got to start this one off on the right foot here if you're KB. I mean, I hate to say you have to win a pistol in an 8-4 game, but based on how things are going, it feels like you have to win this pistol.
So looking to see if KB are going to go for any of that early information. They're already coming out here. Had a little bit of that delay. They pulled out some of that utility, which is what YFP were looking for, right? And they expect also for KB to push out a little bit more because unlike having the fade on the side of YFP, again, with running the solo Tejo, you really only have that drone to work off of, not even available here for Avery.
Yeah. First peek, wow. Avery actually catches one and a chunk of another. That stops that rotation in through Art. At least initially it does. Now the hit from A main starts to pull some of the defensive focus back over, but Core is good for it. Avery following up. Nice shots from Avery. And there we go. Exactly what the doctor ordered. Pistol win for KB, and now we get to 8-5 with potentially a 6th on the way.
Nice round coming out from the side of KB. Very solid start there. One of those rounds where it was so clean that it can definitely be a bit of a momentum builder as far as, you know, maybe injecting a little bit of life into the call too, and a bit of that hype there for the team. Something that you always love to see.
Absolutely. A couple of sheriff upgrades for YFP, nothing crazy though. Defense for KB, just maybe even waiting to see if they can catch any information before they spend any utility. Bit surprised we haven't seen the stealth drone even search for anything at the moment. But... oh, what a shot from Cora! Looked like Scary Shark was off the screen, but Lance finds the Elin, and now the Fade utility bouncing into sight has Cora still just kind of playing with their back up against some really safe ground here.
Pings going through here on the side of KB. They're aware of the fact that they do have a gap over in mid, so that's why you see the shift to watch over towards, well, ensure that no one's creeping up in sewers. It's just going to be a walk down with 3 players on the side of YFP for a bit more of this mid control. Trying to see if they can find the wall to trigger it a little late into this round. Actually, just going to be a full crunch into connector here. Look to play the close quarters with the pistols in hand.
30 seconds left.
Oh, Avery. Good read under Corrupt. Cora's going to get another chance here. This is the first one to stop the Outlaw, but the follow-up is, well, nearly perfect. Whoa, okay. Just down to Misu. Salvo pushing him off the staircase, and an easy follow-up for Avery, and there is the expected 8-6 tally, but most importantly, 2 Guardians from the Outlaw will make their way into the bonus here for KB. This is very doable to get this thing back within 1.
Yeah, you can even see, just being aware of the fact that there is going to be that Outlaw in play, YFP going to sacrifice a couple of those rifles and opt instead to ensure that they can guarantee full shields on everyone for the most part. Of course, as I say that, that's actually not going to be true. You know, it is what it is, but...
We'll cast her first.
Cage trigger.
Well, we're showing some aggression with the Cage and Spy can't play at A while the rest of the teammates are looking for action at mid. Cora pushed off from the doors immediately, but again, that's fine for the defense. It's going to back up a little bit.
And trying out as much as they can. Avery looking to fall completely back into connector here, happy to give Art up. They're just really applying a bit of pressure at the end of the day, seeing if YFP can pull some of those rotations over towards the A site, but the fact that noise ends up being cut early on, KB actually don't quite bite.
At this for KB just has to be trusting your information gathering tools. Like, if you can get any sort of a read here, especially with only 40 seconds remaining, you have to be able to commit to it and just know what that looks like, because Melia and Panday on these close corners, if this is an island elimination for Melia, KB are going to be in tatters trying to figure out where this hit's coming from. Gate crash over to B. Panday goes to Astral Form, and now Melia is going to start to work on seeing if they can catch a connection on these rotations back to B.
Look at the stack coming in here as well from KB.
This is a chance, but the biggest issue here is the clock. You've got to be able to stick this if you're Scary Shark, and just enough freedom to do so before the salvo comes through and takes him out of the picture. Now it's on to Corrupt and Misu. Crossfire setup. Corrupt in the corner. Expected as Avery finds the kill, and then the one-tap shield. Too good for carry. Making good use of the ISO. And we're back to within one. Bonus win here for KB. Has him cooking things up here in the second half.
You couldn't be happier with the second half start here for the side of KB. Definitely looking a lot more comfortable on the defense with their setups, and not really falling into the hands of YFP's expectations, I think, with some of these like slower defaults. Again, they anticipate that KB is going to go for a bit more of that push and pull on the extremities or towards mid, just considering the lack of info that they have by nature within the utility of KB's composition. But the timings coming out from the drone for Avery have been really great, and then, you know, they're more than happy. Okay, we'll give up that mid control. We'll just look to play together, ensure we have those crossfires down, and are using that to their advantage. Really doing a heads-up job at not allowing YFP to break up those setups.
Yeah. This time KB going to step up a little bit more here at A main, even in the face of similar YFP utility. And Miso is seen, but the spy cam also kind of retrieves mutual information. Bizarre looking for just a jump peek. Whoa, what a shot. Edith will drop. And now it's just down to Scary Shark. Catch him on the exit. Ah, that's a missed opportunity. Now you've got a chance to re-wrap this if you're Cora, or at least repeat this if you're Cora. And KB looking primed to tie us up at 8.
Yeah, it's a clean round here for KB, that's for sure. Still, at least able to get a pickers too, but right now, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this because we're getting some ones right now.
We are getting some ones, but with 35 seconds remaining, it looks like KB are making the right call. Back up, back out, force them to have to make a plant. And there's no option here.
Need that back.
Maybe you could sprint to B, but you'd have to sprint to B. You can't just shift walk over to B. And yeah, looks like Melia may play for an elimination or two. Cora is watching. Or is she?
10 seconds left.
Oh, well, Zar should put this out of reach, but Misu's full HP. The only problem is Misu has a stinger.
Yeah, they're not going to give those ones this time around. Everyone's grouping to retake CT as 3.
Just don't stack. Just don't stack. Just don't stack. Oh my goodness! Maybe a bullet or two, or yeah, one bullet.
One bullet.
Or
One
a
bullet.
Headshot would have done it.
A little too close for comfort there, Shift.
I'll say yeah, I'm clenching toes and fingers right now. That one got a little too tight.
Operator picked back up here for KB. And for YFP, they actually look to call a timeout here. It's been 4 rounds that KB have been able to chain together since we swapped sides. YFP kind of is struggling to look to break these setups early on. I think that Bazaar has been getting great value out of that wall. That's something that YFP haven't really been able to find too early on into the round. We do see the wall getting baited out, but it's usually around like the 45-second, 40-second mark. Not as early as I think that they would like, because it makes it just a little bit harder to pivot. And it's honestly consistently set up towards mid as opposed to some of those main chokes, which I think is part of what's working really well in the favor of KB, because YFP haven't been pushing mid too deep.
I think there's also a level here just to kind of reconfirm, because like you're absolutely right. Like these opening challenges, these opening 5v5s have not looked good for YFP, at least in the terms of how they're trying to play the map. Like I'm not trying to say they look bad. I'm just saying that KB's defense is just dealing with what their set plays have looked like. We've only seen one full gun round. The thing about this upcoming gun round, though, is that you know that Korra has a scope, and you have a dimensional drift. So you have to just confirm your ability to make sure everyone stays alive. You can get your execute with the dimensional drift, and then knowing what you want to do to limit the functionality of this operator. You also got to keep in mind the Armageddon could be a very useful retake tool as well. So I imagine this will be some sort of a lookout, and then this has to be some sort of a B hit. You would think. It's just an Armageddon is just too punishing on A.
That's absolutely true. I mean, I think either way, though, the Armageddon is a force to be reckoned with. I've seen a lot of those ones where it will like kind of start at the top of B, and then you force the attackers to either run straight into your setup on the B side, or they perish. There's really no way around it. And then the A site itself is just so small that it covers so much ground. They're really gonna have to push forward.
No distraction.
There's the drift. Oh my goodness! The kill contract only gets the decoy. Oh no! That is the all-time most feels bad kill contract I think I've ever seen. So now you're gonna get a plant. You've lost carry, and you've lost the ability to use an Armageddon because the Tejo's dropped. That is, oh, next level pain.
Well, this wrap back around here, from Melia could be the difference maker into this round, as long as Corrupt can buy enough time on site.
And you've got a Nightfall still too. That's the other part about this. And yeah, that will be used immediately. Korra, the Tendrils are going to showcase where exactly they're at. The Prowler even making matters worse. Trying to cloudburst themselves to stay alive. Not going to happen. Oh, but when you kill contract the decoy. Oof. Just capital oof.
Super unlucky. But a nice round win here for YFP. That's right off the back of a timeout. They find the success that they were looking for. We're seeing the attack side op coming out now here as well. YFP. And see that lean over towards the B site.
Their fears betray them.
Vice wall shifted over towards B here as well.
Where are you?
Instead opting to play numbers over at mid, hoping that the off will be enough to push them into the B side.
Enemy kill.
Oh, and Korra will get the first.
Time to jump.
So Edith down puts a lot of pressure really on, I would say not Corrupt, but what exactly you want to do if you're Scary Shark and Misu, who are the ones who are going to have to open up space. Prowler pushes off Avery. Fine, though, for now. And a secondary check for Bazaar. Again, just knows that there's going to be some sort of a threat here at mid, and that's going to force Corrupt's attention.
No.
Puts the scope down at the wrong moment, though, and Bazaar punishes.
Here he was playing so safe backside as well. They were aware of the fact that there could be that walk down. Nobody wanted to take that 1v1. Now it's a triple walk over towards the link. The jiggle peek here for Bazaar is get the information.
Oh, it's a really good seize, but doesn't make a difference. Bazaar just holds their ground, deals with two. Melia for a trade, but doesn't breathe. That carry's also playing at the backside of the halls. And we've got a 9-9 count here. And yeah, I mean, if you're YFP, you come off of a timeout and win a round, but it was an expensive one with dimensional drift that had been spent, plus the Nightfall. And you still, in full gun rounds, have not really been able to crack any of this defensive setup at all from KB. They're looking really good defensively.
They can really drilled the protocols on the side of KB. I think you look towards this ultimate economy as well. It says a lot about how dominant those rounds have been when these ultimates on the side of KB have just been consistently saved for the most part. No real pressure in making them feel like the ults had to be expended. Also a lot about how comfortable they feel on defense right now. This is the earliest look, though, that we've seen on this B site from YFP so far, it being an eco this time around as well.
Cutting through.
And the clone being used on early actually means that it's not going to be available to clear out that wall. So Edith is on an island aside from the TP backside.
Yeah, you get the gate crash as well to get back in towards Hull. So we got both duelists here, but Carry holding tight. Razorvine nearby. Also delicious Prowler. Really good follow-up. Bazaar right there stacked up with them. Melia makes it interesting, but only for a small time. And KB will take their first lead here in the series, 10-9 up.
It looks like a clinic right now on defense. YFP haven't really been able to get a read. Maybe expecting again. KB haven't really been going for those defensive aggression looks on Pearl so far. And YFP are the ones finding themselves a bit more starved of that information, making it a bit more difficult for them to get the read on how they want to manage in these attacking rounds. I just don't really know how I feel about the fact that we are going for a 5-player hit over to the main.
This almost feels like just throwing something at the wall to see what sticks if you're YFP. I mean, we have not gotten site clearance at all with these double duelists. And we credited Misu a lot for their utility use to the defensive side. It has not been the same here. This is a great Armageddon. It's going to split the offense up completely right into the waiting arms of the knives. This has been so disciplined, so good from KB. Edith's still on site, trying to fight for their lives. Shuts down a second. Is there more to come? No, can't quite lock down to the Panda, who is just a little too slippery, but Scary Shark has the trade. 2v1. Steel Garden comes through. Pauses things as Bazaar tries to utilize this advantage, but both players sticking together. Now they've got their weapons back, and it's just a wide double peek that YFP survived through. Heroic moment, though, for Edith, hanging onto the site.
Great micro call. They didn't expect the second player over in default after Corrupt falls, and that positioning was everything for YFP. After a worthwhile investment coming out from Kasoku Band as well. That was 3 ultimates they had invested into that round. The Armageddon, the Steel Garden, as well as the knives there for Korra. Now it's the ult cycling on the side of YFP to come on through. You've got scouting ability from Corrupt with the dimensional drift there for the Yoru. The default play.
Okay, this time the kill contract works as intended. Melia trying to slide through, but not much to do there. So free first blood comes through for KB, and I will say it's not the worst member to lose in terms of agent when it comes to YFP, but you do lose your ability to set up a solid post plan and, of course, be avidly aware of what the flank looks like.
It's just a quiet regroup here outside of A now. Contact play, super aware of it, considering being kept here on the side of KB. You got the dimensional drift going for that information gathering. They know that at least one is over towards dugout, playing super far back. Carry's looking to fall off.
And this is the right call, because if you're going to save this round if you're YFP, you have to get a quick plant off. Korra will drop, just over peeking. Corrupt gets another. Wait, KB are absolutely getting dismantled in the weirdest of all the rounds possible, because you just have to respect the fact that this plant's probably going to be free. You just play a 5v4 retake, but not the case. Now to the 2v2. Bazaar and Avery trying to work this together. Right back onto the side immediately. Double swing potential for YFP to watch over the top of this spike. First shot decent, but no! Oh, another moment where Edith connects onto a headshot. Doesn't actually connect for the full kill, though. And that'll be enough for KB to find the win, pick up an op, and get to 11.
Yeah, just a little phantom moment to come in here.
No.
And a great recovery coming out from KB as well for Bazaar to net this round win. YFP, they had an insane flood on site. AKB were making mistakes after mistake, overstaying their welcome in some of those choke points, and somehow clawing their way back with that high-low. This is tough. That was an important round for YFP. Now back onto an awkward financial situation. A little bit of a mishmash of some hero rifles and then the rest saving. I mean, it makes sense. You do have the knives, yeah.
Get out of my way!
You looking for tempo here? I mean, Korra's got job. Misses the first shot. That was actually a decoy. It is going to try to fight for their life backside halls. Hold on. This is
no,
really
the top?
messy.
It didn't check. It's too low to the ground. It didn't spot Melly.
Not good. Melia turns it into 2. Cora does get one and gets away. That's important in terms of trying to hang on to the site, but you're absolutely right. Melia just tucked into a corner, never gets witnessed. So now someone else has to be a hero. Panda does have the ability to use a Cosmic Divide if you want it, but it's a 2v4, and with an operator, I just don't know how you chow this, and it looks like you may just not at all.
So it gotta be a safe situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, now for sure.
I mean, their money situation, like, it's not looking too hot either, so you just gotta run away. But man, what a round coming out from Melia. That positioning was so key to catch that Avery off guard.
Feels bad. Again, there's a couple other moments here where you see it again for YFP, just upping the tempo in some of these rounds. And KB are a little frantic, trying to respond and adapt to it. I don't know if YFP are going to be able to really recognize that that's been the case, because they've also had a couple of hero moments that you're thinking like, oh, I'm just better. But that's legitimately what's caused KB issue in these last couple of rounds here. Well, I would say 2 of the last 3, but really even in round 21, that was the same case. It was just saved off of that little high-low stack. So 11-11. Ika will flip just a touch. Blade's not ready for Cora. Holding onto the operator. It's a mismatch buy.
Yeah, the tempo difference has been a great way to kind of break up these setups. Operator gonna get smoked off here. A nice play from YFP with the read. Trying to get the spam down as well. Not quite gonna make sense, but will force Cora off the angle.
And decoy also gets destroyed before it gets past the shear. That might be important here. Stealth drone check things out at mid. Nothing there. Spy came on the other side for the offensive YP, essentially doing the same thing.
Look at Melia.
Now we're going to start getting our setup.
Just looking to re-clear some of that mid space. Once that drone goes out, you have nothing to work with as far as information goes aside from that arc rose.
Are down for this peak. Melia, a couple of tags onto Avery, but doesn't find the elimination. And with 40 seconds, this is going to be an A execute. You got a Cosmic Divide and Nightfall, but the shear is still up and Cora's still holding an angle. Here's the look at the Cosmic Divide. It's going to cut right on the thin side of this B approach by the look of it. Gate crash also coming through. We've seen this before. Razor Vine over, but Edith will just push on through thanks to the haunt. Back haul's going to be fought for. Spike making its way over. Melia on the lure. Cut down at Sewer. Carry with the elimination. Shorty out. Edith goes too deep, though. Cora finds one. Now it's down to how much more with the weapon upgrade. Maybe not as much as you'd be hoping for. Bazaar on site, waiting for help. 3v2. Time's starting to become a bit of an issue. Scary Shark in with the place one. Starving gets caught. Look in the wrong direction. Just down to Misu and 32 HP for the 1v3. Bazaar on the corner towards screens, and the crossfire too strong. KB get to map point.
What a round into that retake coming out from KB. The idea was there for that Hall's push, but not expecting this little crossfire to be set up just on the other side of that Cosmic Divide. A bit too greedy looking to push that issue. Cora managing to find that pick with the classic was massive for Kasoku Band. Now,
I need a weapon.
it's opportunity for KB to take us to our 3rd map on Ascent. YFP are also just 1 from taking us to overtime. Just don't quite have that ultimate capability that Kasoku are bringing into this round.
I mean, realistically, you look back on this half and what, 2 rounds were essentially won thanks to dimensional drift play, essentially. Like, it's just, it has not looked like a 4-0 team on Lotus right now for YFP. It really hasn't. KB really sticking to their guns on this map selection. A little bit of action potentially here at A main. First time we've seen this. I was going to say we really haven't had much toggling for positioning at A main whatsoever. But here in round 24, looking a little bit more likely. Stealth also shut down in the playthrough art.
A little recall smoke to apply that pressure as well. We don't know if the presence is still there, and the Hawk gets shut down here, Shift.
Yeah, that's a big miss. Carry still holding close. Here comes all the utility offense looking primed to hit. But honestly, for the most part, the defense has stayed relatively safe from this. A little bit of a delay of their own as they're trying to wait for a rotation over. Not joining them, though, at the moment is Panday. Cosmic Divide would be used for a retake, but KB is dropping like flies. Carry trying to look for timing, looking for space to work with on the backside of this spike. Steel Garden coming through, but it doesn't get timed all that well. Bizarre trying to follow up. Dimensional Drift still in play for Bizarre to work through. Here's the Q on it. There's the Cosmic Divide to try to get repositioned on towards the spike again, but the numbers still looking good for the side of YFP. Just have to try to peek this one together. There's a little jump peek, no one on. Follow up from Corrupt is good as he finds the final two, and we're going to extra innings.
That's a great play coming out from YFP. Just playing around that Cosmic Divide perfectly. I'm trying to get that information on the defuse. It was a good wall, too, coming out from KB. You know, Panday throws that super close to the spike. Makes it that much more uncomfortable to actually try and get that swing for the post-plant team, but taking us to overtime now. YFP on defense. This is being on attack. KB is the team that I've got my eyes on to actually find success here if they want to take us to Ascent.
This is a nice spot. That goes there.
It just doesn't that feel like the air just gets sucked out of the lungs of KB right there, though? Like, you've got him on map point. Yeah. You're starting to really dominate, and all it comes down, not all it comes down to, but a missed shot off the op, and then just not being able to stay alive to wait for that Cosmic Divide to come through is so punishing. Can KB shrug it off, reset, come back through in an offensive side where they really did struggle, to put it plainly, until late in the first half.
That's about. Do they look to manage on attack? Corrupt's gonna be punished for that. I don't know if they expect the space to be taken back by Scary Shark here, who will at least be able to give the read over to the rest of YFP that KB should be leaning over towards A.
Double star placement at A main. This defense on site, yeah, just has to worry about what's coming through Art stairs.
Camera taken out.
Forest scene. Really good salvo placement. Misu trying to dance with it, takes a considerable amount of damage, but stays alive. Now the potential for a seize. Edith may have to step up. Deletes the Razor Vine. Tries to spam on the default spot. No one going to be hit. Double tap. Taken out. Carry will drop. Bizarre trades. You're still waiting for Scary Shark to make this long route, and look at the discipline of the post plant waiting for this peek, and Avery connects just down to Edith Amelia. 2v4 situation, and just no way to break this, you would think. What a snap from Edith. Toggles the spike. Calling the bluff is Avery. Now the second attempt. Gravity Vortex doesn't pull. The Gravity Vortex doesn't pull him off. Oh no! It's technically a 1v4 for Edith, but call it what it is. It's an absolute blunder for the side of KB.
An insane Red Bull clutch coming out from Edith. Just a pixel off, and they had so much confidence that they were able to find the sliver where they just wouldn't be touched by that grab well. I actually can't believe it. Like, you talked about the overtime, the round taking us to overtime, like knocking the air out of you.
Yeah.
It only gets more deflating after a round like that.
I'm not okay, Ash. I'm not okay.
I'll find you.
Oh man, the mental game that's gonna play for Panday for a while. But again, you have to shrug it off and get ready to go, because here comes the hit, all of it through A main. And this feels like a borderline, like, we're just better, let's just flood at him type situation. Salvo comes through, Avery caught, trying to shrug off that utility. Laura in the corner, dealt with, and YFP not letting off the gas. Panday trying to save this through Secret. No crossfire setup, Misu dealt with. Wait a second, that's a bit of a miscue. Not able to isolate, so now 3v2 is still doable.
One away from Cosmic Divide here for Panday.
Not gonna happen, just down to Bizarre. Oh, able to find the first. There's the shorty in your face, but Scary Shark collects the kill before it comes through. But wow, the heartbreak, the headache that you're gonna feel if you're KB at a map that was essentially on a silver platter for you.
I mean, it was an insane attempt at a comeback coming out from KB. And it just came down to those last two rounds. The one where we go to overtime for YFP and the one just before that, or sorry, just after that, where we saw the defuse coming in for Edith. And I think we both felt it. You know, after you get a round like that in overtime, that's momentum that's going to carry you over to try and close out the map into the next round.
Let's take a deep breath, friends. Check out a neighbor, check out a friend, make sure everyone's okay. I don't know if we're okay over here, but we're doing our best. YFP doing their best. A win's a win. There's no pictures on a scorecard is what they say if you're a Masters fan. There's plenty of pictures on this one, though. They're moving pictures type deal. We've got ourselves the end of Swiss Stage number 1, though, overall. YFP 2-0 in technicality, but KB going to feel the heartbreak for a while. We're going to set up for the Verizon post-match interview. While we do, we're going to set away for a break, come back with the analysis, and close out our day. Be right back. back there, friends, as we're closing out our opening evening here for Valorant Game Changers North America. The opening matches in our Swiss stage. YFP take the 2-0, but came with some trial and a lot of tribulation, and I may have more gray hairs from when I started. That's much we know for sure. Ash, just take me through your thoughts here, because yes, YFP get the job done, but it wasn't as pretty as maybe we were thinking it would be.
No, insane fake comeback coming out from Kisoku Band. I think, we start off that 8-4 half on the side of YFP. They looked incredible on defense, and then it felt like they didn't really know what direction they wanted to take the attack in. I think Kisoku Band had some really cool setups there, as far as not even just setups, but I feel like Carrie also went pretty big on a lot of those initial engagements on defense too. And it was quite the ride that we went through. It was an emotional roller coaster, I think, for everyone at home and us behind the cameras.
Yeah, you can kind of see the statistics there that really stand out. I think the post plant really says a lot for KB. 3 out of the 9 opportunities is not enough on a map like Pearl. I think especially considering that a lot of those were in 5v4 moments. At least maybe not a lot of them, but there were a handful that's just again, you can't have those rounds go awry. Not at this level, not as you're starting to escalate into a potential playoff position here in Game Changer North America. But for YFP, again, do what needs to get done. Edith MVP in maybe more ways than one. Of course, I think most in particular, that little double snap into a 1v4 with the Gravity Vortex. I kind of went back and looked at it for a second. I don't know if the Gravity Vortex didn't pull, or if just because of where the plant position was and how Edith positioned herself, that the actual bomb set itself stopped her from getting pulled, because it looked like the area may have encompassed her, but hard to say. Regardless, still an impressive moment. We had a couple of those here today in terms of 1v multiple clutches. Ash, any other kind of notes about the individuals before we get our interview going?
Honestly, I think the main thing is keep an eye out for Melia, because she was really impressive today with a lot of that Sentinel utility. I think a definite force to be reckoned with, and people got to take notes from those Cypher setups.
All right, well, with that, we've got our Verizon post-match interview with the one, the only, Nora's in the mix. Nora, welcome to the show. I have to just get the instant reaction. Take me through the Edith 1v4 Gravity Vortex coming up a ride to get you guys the edge.
I was just watching, kill by kill. I was like, oh, nice 1K, nice 2K. And then Teo peeked. I'm like, oh, okay, we're live. We tapped the bomb for the suck, and I just watched the suck go off. I watched Edith not get pulled around. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take that. I mean, I'll take it. It is what it is. I'll take it.
Way calmer than I thought you'd be. I thought you guys would be losing your minds because we were going bananas over here.
Yeah.
Hey, that's just how confident Nora is on it, But I love that for you guys. You guys played super well. I think I'm actually curious. I want to say, first off, congratulations for making it into challengers as well. I think that's one thing that I'm really excited to talk to you about, is I guess the dichotomy of now between you splitting your time between challengers and game changers as a player. How do you feel like that's affecting you? Whether it's leveling up your experience, and how you're just enjoying splitting time between both leagues.
I think I'm gonna shout out Radiant, Alu, that runs all of GC, and Liga Ace, the challengers tournament organizer. They made it pretty possible to actually do both at the same time, since I originally didn't plan to play map 1 or map 2, since it was interfering with challengers practice. But the scrim got cancelled. The first series when map 3, Kaide won, I'm pretty sure. Shout out Kaide. And kind of just worked out where I get to play some of these matches, which is fun to play in GC. But yeah, it's just
I want to take you into a spot here, Nora, just kind of talking about YFP as a whole, because kind of going over the history of the team, and in particular the last 5-6 losses: FlyQuest Red, Wadadada, FlyQuest Red, Shopify, FlyQuest Red. What is it going to take for you guys to get over that hurdle of being able to compete and best those teams more often than not? Because I guess you have a couple of wins, but they seem to be the biggest kind of obstacle that you guys have to still hurdle.
It's going to come down to increasing our skill ceiling. I mean, one, if you play at a skill floor, we're just going to lose to FlyQuest Red, SR, Wada. They're insane teams. So it's just improving our overall capabilities as a team is what it's going to take. And I think Corrupt and Skirishak and I, getting into challengers is going to help that greatly.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Yeah, because you guys are just getting like those additional reps, and like playing at that tier 2 level is something that's going to be crazy as far as leveling up that skill floor for you guys and whatnot. I also just want to, I guess, like hear what it's been like to incorporate the new members onto your team, with Edith and Misu coming into the fray, like who joining your core of 3. How has that transition been from kickoff to split 1?
I think the transition has gone pretty well. Edith got on a co-ed team that's pretty good, so they're getting like more co-ed tier 3 practice, playing those weekly tournaments. I sit down of like one-on-ones on Misu pretty often, just like talk about like maps and agents, and like making sure like even though we don't practice a lot as a team, as an individual player, just like she understands what's happening and she's able to improve. Since she's already an insane player, she's super talented and like easy to work with, so it just makes it easier. And we've been able to transition pretty seamlessly.
Well, it seems like the wide breadth of experience that you guys are bringing into this stage has you guys primed and ready to go. 1-0 to start. Obviously, another week still before you guys have to play again and get into what is going to be, I think, our first true test for a lot of these squads. Any other final thoughts, just like to the fans that are following you guys along, and where to kind of find you guys progressing, whether it be on your personal streams or personal channels of their own that you want to try to shout out? I
stream pretty often on Scary Shark. Wait, TTV. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what it. I stream Scary Shark 32. Follow me there. I play rank, rage, crash out when it is what it is. Everybody else just on their Twitters. You should follow them. Follow me and Corrupt and Challengers. Hopefully, appreciate all the fans. Means a lot. And follow YFPX. Woo.
Perfect. Love it. We'll be seeing you soon with Challengers. I know that for a fact. But thanks so much for stepping on. Congrats on the win. Starting off 1-0 is huge for the program, obviously. So congrats to you and YFP.
Bye-bye.
That's Nora, Scary Shark. Wow. Just straightforward shooter. I mean, not that we come unexpected to it, but I think the big thing, and we talked about this as a kind of a preliminary face up to what we may expect for this season of Game Changers, probably the most dynamic in terms of not just playing a Game Changers anymore, for a very wide variety of members that have been at the top of Game Changers for so long. And it looks like that may just lead to one of our best Game Changer seasons yet, Ash.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing, YFP kind of like level up in that regard with Corrupt and Scary Shark having that additional experience that they're gaining under their belt as well. And I think that means a lot for like the overall health of the Game Changers scene too, and showing and inspiring, I think, a lot of players who have been trying to kind of level up their own gameplay and showing them that they can reach those new heights.
Indeed the case. A heck of a way to kick things off here, though, in week number 1 on the Valorant Americas broadcast. A lot more to come, though, when it comes to the Swiss stage overall. So make sure you're following along, whether that be on Twitter, on VLR, or just right here on the stream itself. It's been a lot of fun to this point. I don't know if we've got the full Swiss standings here, but the next stream is going to be round 2. It's going to happen, again, in a week. So we'll be here on April the 21st. I imagine that most of the features will be largely about the 1-0 teams that kicked us off, and see where the early advantages may lie, or will there be some potential underdogs to keep our eyes on early. Final thoughts from you, Ash, before we say farewell?
No, I'm just super excited to see how teams look to level up week for week and fix a lot of those mistakes. I'm expecting that the competition's just going to get tighter as Swiss stage goes on.
Gonna be a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun for us, so make sure you give some love to Ash at AshCast on my whole chip. Been a pleasure being with you guys, and until next week, make sure you keep holding it down. Bye-bye.